MLB fans, you better block me today, nigga. This little bitch ass nigga on this whole payment, doing all type of G Money. Finna get on that Fredo shit, nigga. Stamp you niggas. Nah, for real.
NBA Youngboy just violated this goofy Dallas rapper in the most disrespectful way possible. And the leaked footage is so crazy. We're talking about Montana 700 getting smacked up by Youngboy and his crash dummies backstage at YB's own show for some old disrespectful comments that came back to haunt his ass. This situation is wild because Montana thought he was safe because he wasn't even famous back in 2021 when he posted this video. But the internet never forgets. And when those old videos started resurfacing, Youngboy made sure to remind this dude exactly who he was playing with. I got all the exclusive details on how this whole situation went down and how one old video just cost Montana 700 his respect in the streets and messed up his whole career. It's going to become messy. So let me to explain just what went wrong when dissing Lil Top, how the Monarch was clowned by a nobody. We have to go back to December 2021 when this whole incident began. In order to comprehend why Montana 700 got his face clapped up backstage, NBA Youngboy released his Blackball music video around that time. And allow me to say the internet was talking about this video for all the wrong reasons, y'all. Youngboy was experimenting with his appearance in the video. We're talking about eyeliner, black painted nails, and other artistic expression that left people unsure of his brand's future. One thing was evident. Regardless of whether you saw his creative vision or thought he was zesty, one of the roughest rappers in the game, NBA Youngboy, was doing something new. However, Montana 708 Dallas unknown with only a few thousand followers at the time, viewed this as his chance to become well known. This guy genuinely believed that by disparaging one of the biggest names in hip-hop, he could further his career. The boldness was, gang, it's unreal. In a lengthy video, Montana addressed his supporters, claiming that anyone who continued to make fun of Youngboy after witnessing him paint his nails and move zesty was no longer able to rock with him. He was calling Youngboy derogatory names, laughing, and cursing at him, essentially attempting to dehumanize a man who has spent years establishing his street credibility. The disdain, you guys, it was layered. It wasn't all about the nails and makeup. Montana was attempting to challenge Youngboy's street cred, masculinity, and other aspects of his identity. Additionally, he was attempting to gain attention by undermining an established person in order to gain clout. The timing was even more rude. Youngboy was suffering with legal troubles, industry blackballing, and various forms of pressure at the time. It was awful how opportunistic it was for some random Dallas guy to dump on at his lowest point. Here's the problem with Montana 700 though. At the time, he was nobody. No buzz, no hits, and no street cred. Just another would-be rapper attempting to gain notoriety through scandal. He most likely believed that Youngboy would either never see the tape or, if he did, would not be interested enough to react when it revealed long-standing adversaries. In 2024 and 2025, Montana 700 began to gain some popularity in the Dallas rap scene. Not much, but enough attention to spread his fame and his previous work bang, uncovered by both admirers and detractors. At that point, the 2021 video began to circulate once more. See, family? This is how the internet operates. People search your entire digital past for content. If you become well, every old comment, video, and tweet is examined. Additionally, Montana is disrespectful for those looking to incite drama. The Youngboy video was ideal. Hip-hop blogs, Instagram accounts, and Twitter pages began to repost the video. In an attempt to elicit a response, fans were tagging both artists. While some laughed at the old video, others wondered if Youngboy had ever seen it and how he would react. Montana most likely believed he was safe. After all, he had said such things nearly 4 years ago. His priorities were developing his profession, releasing new music, and making a name for himself in the Dallas scene. It's likely that he was thinking of an old video in which he disparaged NBA Youngboy. However, Montana's largest error was underestimating the length of Youngboy's memory and the seriousness with which he treats disrespect. There is no statute of limitations for infractions on the streets. When you treat someone disrespectfully, the debt doesn't go away with time. Youngboy was at the height of his abilities when the video reappeared. This was not Youngboy's legal troubles in 22-1. Business politics. It was in 2025, unquestionably the king of his lane. Youngboy has an insane fan base and the self-assurance that comes from disproving everyone's doubts. Old disrespect strikes differently when you're on top like that. These days, it's more than simply the words, it has to do with the idea. When he was on the ground, Montana had attempted to kick him, and that little boy was back up now. The question of how Montana 700 found up in the wrong place at the wrong time has to be resolved. Montana 700 was scheduled to have a typical night on September 2nd, 2025. NBA Youngboy had invited his friend Honcho Amir to perform alongside him during his event in Dallas. And Montana made the decision to join in order to show support. His child receiving a big look and performing with one of the biggest names in rap should have been cause for excitement. Montana most likely believed that if Youngboy recalled the old video, this would be his opportunity to network and possibly even put an end to any potential conflict. He may have been preparing to apologize and explain that it was juice-stacked foolishly and youthfully and proceed like men. However, Montana made a crucial mistake in judgment. He didn't realize how much Youngboy had been troubled by that old disrespect. You see, every slight sticks in your memory when you're dealing with someone like YB, who has experienced industry politics, court disputes, and unrelenting criticism. Everybody who attempted to kick him when he was placed on a list while he was down. Montana's friendship with Honcho Amir likely added to the complexity of the matter. Amir's career was greatly impacted by the chance to perform with Youngboy. However, no one anticipated the issues that would arise from his connection to Montana. When they got to the location, Montana was most likely in a good mood. He was living the dream of all aspiring rappers. Backstage at a large performance, surrounded by successful performers, Youngboy had already seen the resurrected footage, but the atmosphere was likely upbeat as others congratulated Montana on the opportunity and enjoyed the reflected glory. He had either come or his crew had most likely revealed it to him on social media. In any case, he was well aware of Montana 700's identity and his remarks from 2021. Montana entered a trap he was unaware of as soon as he entered that backstage area. Montana 700's history finally caught up with him. Family, the altercation happened quickly. Montana was likely taken in the backstage ambience one moment, and then he was in direct contact with NBA Youngboy, who had some very precise inquiries regarding the 2021 video. Sources close to the matter claimed that Youngboy made a direct contact to Montana. This was neither a hidden message nor an indirect confrontation. YB approached him directly and spoke to the hidden disrespect. Youngboy made it apparent that he remembered exactly everything Montana had said about him during the brief but intense exchange. Montana made an effort to clarify, offer an apology, or say it was just joking. However, explanations don't really matter in circumstances like this. The insult had already been made public. It was time to deal with the fallout because the damage had already been done. Things became quite serious after that. Youngboy used more than just words to deal with this. Montana was physically handled by his people. We're talking about a full-fledged backstage assault that made Montana 700 doubt all of his life's choices. There was more to the slapping than just physical punishment. It has to do with embarrassment. One of the most insulting things that may happen to you in hip-hop culture is getting slapped. It goes beyond simple assault. It's a way of indicating that you're unworthy of respect and that you're not even worthy of a proper fight. In that instant, Montana's entire world most likely transformed. Just a moment. And one moment he was a young rapper with hopes and plans, and the next he was being violated by one of the biggest names in the industry. It is impossible to overstate the psychological effects of anything like that. This was made even more awkward by the fact that it occurred at Youngboy's own performance in front of his crew, and presumably other industry individuals. Terrible Montana was receiving more than a private punishment. In front of those who may have an impact on his career, he was being used as an example. How C prevented the streets from catching fire. Family, this is when things become really interesting. The proprietor of Say Cheese received video footage of the entire beatdown. For those who are unaware, C is one of the largest hip-hop media sites and is well known for publishing exclusive content and breaking news in the rap industry. However, Say's owner made a decision that stunned everyone. Rather than uploading the video and receiving millions of views, he declined to make the video public. His justification was that he didn't want things to get worse. And make the streets more problematic. Take a moment to consider that. We are discussing stuff that would have broken the internet, garnered millions of views, and greatly increased platform engagement. However, because he was aware of the possible repercussions of releasing it, the owner decided to sit on it. This choice demonstrates the true gravity of the situation. Let's say Cheese. If you are afraid to submit something on a platform that thrives on controversy and unique material, you knew it was bad. Montana was likely completely humiliated in the video, which would have terminated his career before it really got underway. Additionally, the owner's choice demonstrates awareness of how certain circumstances might get out of hand and respect for the culture. After that, when this kind of video is made public, it develops a life of its own. What began as one person being checked might escalate into something a lot larger, like someone actually getting his taco tapped, as people begin to take sides and make threats. However, the existence of the footage and the fact that it is being held by a significant media outlet puts more strain on the issue. Montana is aware that video is out there, and he is aware that it might be made public at any time and ruin his remaining reputation. How YB let the world know business had been handled? The tale began circulating on social media through various routes, even though the original film was never made public. When hip-hop bloggers started discussing the incident, Youngboy made a move that proved it everything. Youngboy enjoyed the blog's reposts of information about Montana being investigated. That may sound insignificant, but in the realm of hip-hop, politics, and social media, a like from the individual in question essentially confirms the veracity of the report. Youngboy was sending a hip message to Montana by liking those postings. Hop community, as well as to anyone else who might be considering treating him disrespectfully. It was a straightforward message. Everything is visible to me. This kind of subtle confirmation is actually more effective than making a major announcement or outright publishing the tape. I remember everything, and business has been handled _. Youngboy didn't have to boast about what transpired or create a major fuss. He just informed them that he was aware of the problem and that it had been satisfactorily remedied. Other possible detractors were also cautioned by the likes. Remember what happened to Montana 700? If you're considering attending NBA Youngboy, YB doesn't forget, but the internet might. So eventually you might discover yourself in the incorrect location at the incorrect moment. How everything was ruined by one outdated video. Montana 700's career has suffered greatly as a result. Family, in the hip-hop world, rumors spread quickly, and getting checked out by NBA Youngboy is not the kind of thing that goes unreported for very long. Even in the absence of the official video, enough individuals are aware of what transpired to seriously harm Montana's reputation. Respect is crucial in hip-hop. Maintaining credibility as an artist becomes extremely challenging once you are perceived as someone who was raped without being able to respond. In one backstage interaction, Montana's street credibility and tough guy persona were completely obliterated. His capacity to collaborate with other artists is likewise impacted by the circumstance. Nobody desires to be connected to a man who has issues with NBA Youngboy, particularly when those issues led to physical repercussions. Previously, possible collaborations are no longer an option. Montana's team most likely needed to radically rethink their approach. How can you support a rapper who was just publicly humiliated by one of the top stars in the industry? How do you schedule performances when people are aware of your beef with someone with actual street credibility? It is also impossible to overlook the psychological effects on Montana being violated in such a way, particularly in front of professionals in the field. must have an impact on your self-esteem and business strategy. People will remember what transpired in Dallas every time he enters a meeting with other rappers. The larger view, Section 8, respect and consequences lessons. Why more than just 2 rappers are involved in this story? There is much more to the NBA Youngboy and Montana 700 problem than just one individual being investigated for previous remarks. It's about how disrespect in hip-hop culture has long-term repercussions and how achievement doesn't make debts go away. Montana made the error of supposing that his contempt would become unimportant over time. He was likely believed that the old video would be forgotten as he became more successful and Youngboy resolved his own problems. Disrespect, however, has a long shelf life in hip-hop, particularly when it's aimed at someone with Youngboy status and memory. The narrative also emphasizes how social media has altered the game. In the past, remarks made in small groups might never get the individual under discussion. Now, however, everything is captured, stored, and finally reappears when you begin to attract attention. This incident serves as a warning to aspiring artists about the value of considering your words before speaking. At the time, Montana's 2021 video most likely appeared innocuous. He was just a nobody attempting to gain attention by making disparaging remarks about a more well-known artist, but it ultimately lost him his reputation and possibly his career. Hip-hop's power dynamics are also demonstrated by the incident. Being in charge, like Youngboy, gives you the freedom to decide when and how to deal with disrespect. Montana was forced to accept any repercussions because he lacked the status or assistance in retaliating. What Montana's 700's demise informs us about the game. The entire case is a prime illustration of how, in the world of hip-hop, one bad decision can follow you for the rest of your life. Montana 700 believed that destroying NBA Youngboy would help him advance his profession, but instead he made an adversary who would soon be able to ruin everything he worked for. 4C's refusal to upload the video demonstrates the gravity of the situation. You can tell the infraction was serious when a major media organization is afraid to publish content due to possible repercussions. Montana was made an example, not just checked, for Youngboy. This circumstance strengthens his standing as someone who is difficult to forgive and forgets things. Being at the top of your game gives you confidence, as seen by the subtle manner he verified the narrative by like posts on social media. He didn't have to release the video or make a huge announcement. Everyone was already aware of what had occurred. This is a straightforward lesson. Respect is acquired, but disdain is never forgotten. Montana 700 discovered this the hard way when his career was ruined by his previous remarks. One act of disrespect can cost you everything you fought for in a culture where reputation is everything. Montana's career will likely be followed by this tale, which serves as a reminder that there are actual people in hip-hop. Repercussions for speaking too much. It's unclear if he will be able to move over this infraction, but one thing is for sure, he won't insult NBA Youngboy ever again. That's all. Family, for today, everything is in this story. Street justice, old grudges, and the kind of repercussions that make you reconsider offending someone who might remember it thereafter. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to read more exclusive tales on what actually goes on behind the scenes in hip-hop. The streets always have more tales to share, and D'll be available to dissect them all.